There it is. Okay, now we got it. All right, so let's do the slideshow. Let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about a couple things. You're with the Greater San Diego Association of Realtors. I got to thank them for allowing me to do this. How much fun is this? There's my name. There's my phone number. There's my email address. Let me take us into, we are here to learn how to search today. And I'm going to show you, first of all, the easy way to do things, and then of course we can always figure out the hard way to do things, but I'm going to show you also how to search for multiple classes. So you might be deciding that you want to look for multiple types of property at the same time. If you've got a client that's looking for residential income property and you want to look at not only residential homes but also units 2 to 4s, that kind of thing. I'll show you how to do that today as well. And thank you for being here, and I very much appreciate your time. We'll be talking about stuff that sounds like legal stuff. I always do this. I start everything like this, and then invariably we're fine. But I got to make that admonition. I do a lot of trial work, mostly on standard of care for real estate agents. Not intended to be the advice substitute for the advice of your broker, nor for that of your attorney. Listen, they're good people. You hired them, so they're there to help you. You need to be able to count on them. And then finally, well, today you won't get an email from education, but they usually ask me were there any handouts or anything, and they normally send those to you. So tomorrow morning we're going to be doing how to write counteroffers, multiple counteroffers, and addenda. And backup offers. I'm going to show you how to do that. For sure, you're going to get handouts on those. We've got to show up, right? If you show up, they're going to automatically send those to you. And then, of course, in the afternoon, we'll be doing the buyer representation agreement. I think we're probably wrapping it up on that. And then there's my email address. And thank you to some of you sent me a message letting me know that that we had that there was a reason behind why my emails were not getting through. My newsletters are not getting through to people. And what was happening was it apparently Constant Contact sends out the email and it has me as an alias. And so as a result of that, it makes it look like it's coming from me. And in fact, it is coming from me, but because they put my name on it, that throws Gmail off, and then we have this problem where nobody can see it. So that creates an issue. We're trying to, I got to figure out a way to get around that, and we will eventually. But if you are not getting my emails, my newsletter once a week, please let me know. We'll figure out a solution. I want you to be able to have that available to you. As in everything else that we do, if you want to send me a Q&A down at the bottom of your screen, I believe it is, you can send me a question, and I'm more than happy to answer that. We have way too many people on here to be able to open it up to everybody being able to talk. And I'm just dying. I'm looking forward to the day when we can go ahead and have live classes again, because I live to be standing in front of you and us all interacting together. So that being said, let's go ahead and crank it up. I'm going to get us into our subject matter today, which is going to be our MLS, and you can see my screen. And let's talk about sharing, or let's talk about searching. So in most cases, when we do a search, we're going to go up here to the search bar. But you can also do a power search up here. And if you hover over it, it gives you some ideas. You can start typing in something like, what's one? We got one closing, 2965. It'll pull up all the possible examples of properties with that address. There's an active one. We actually have one down there that is going to close in another day or so, but 2965, I've also got members information down here. So they have office codes, or they have numbers that are going to be consistent with that. So for example, under office, the real estate consultants. I believe that's actually Marie Jabavi's office out of Oceanside. Is it? Nope, it's not up in California. Anyway, that's what I can do here is I can go ahead and type those results in and then pull up a property. So this is one, I think it just had a price reduction this morning. It's at 6. No, I'm sorry, it did not. We've got one closing there tomorrow, Linda, I think, in that same building. This one is priced at $699. Anyway, that's a way for me to find the listing. And in that power search, I can also, if your computer uses a microphone, you can click on the microphone and you can just tell it what to do. So it's kind of like Cortana or Siri or whatever you're all using. So that'll give you your result. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to delete that for now. Let's go ahead and take a look at my search. I'm going to pull up the search. First of all, get rid of my power search here. From the main page, I can always search over here on the left-hand column. I can look up a quick search. I can look at my last quick search, which happened to be residential income, land, all that. So I can pull that up. It looks like I did that on 6/11. And then I have another one in here. I can also load a saved quick search. And then I can put in information if I have an MLS number. I can search by a map. What I'm looking for here, I can put in an address. So I have to have at least one address in there. Again, I can look up one property. I can look up multiple properties. Let's use my example again, 2965. And I can scroll down here and say search. And then that's going to give me, should give me at least my one result. Apparently 1,491,000 results. So can't be displayed. And why is that? I don't know. I might have had, an address number. So that's my minimum number. So let's make it my maximum also. And as we have said before, if the program is not working for you, it's probably the program and probably not you. So search. And then I can pull up everything that's got a 2965 in the address. Okay. All right. I should have a pretty fast internet connection here. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't, but that's just it. So here's all my 2965s. Obviously I can go back to this and I can change that criteria down here. I can make it zip code specific, status, let's just say active. I start typing and it gives me all my search fields. So now I click active. Now I can click on search. It says I'm going to have 6 in my head count. Okay, so I'm going to have 6 properties that are actually going to meet that criteria. And here they all are, all 2965 in the address. Everybody see what I'm talking about? I can search pretty quickly. 2965 Oceanfront, I think I sold that property about 20 years ago. It's kind of interesting to see the price is quite a bit higher than what I sold it for. But that's how my quick search works. Again, that's if you don't have a whole lot of criteria that you want to put in there. Then it just makes it a little bit easier for you to, I'm only looking into actives. But one of the things that I do is I might be looking up a specific listing agent. So maybe I'm looking up looking up Burke. And I should be able to find a couple of Burkes in there because I know I'm one of them. Here's a bunch of Burkes. Here's an appraiser. Here's Burke Properties. Here's Burke Properties LLC. Andrea Burke. So I can look up actual brokerages. I do that from time to time. And I do tend to look up the agents that we're doing transactions with, not to see if they're going to get in trouble for something, but just to see what they're, who I'm working with, right? And we do that as a matter of course. When we're doing a real estate transaction, we always look up the other agent's DRE information, and we always look up their broker's DRE information. We've had it happen before where the agent's license has been expired. And so we really can't be, discussing real estate with them. They're doing legal things, and then we normally contact the broker when that happens. So residential styles, you all know how to do that. It can be attached, it can be detached, manufactured home, whatever. Bedroom, bathroom. selling agent BRE number is and listing or selling agent. I added this in the last time we discussed this because I thought it'd be kind of an interesting thing. So selling agents BRE number. Let's put mine in there. Here we go. I'm dating myself. 001. And let's do account. None. Well, that's nice. That can't be. So something's. Oh, I see. Because I've got this in here. So I'm gonna delete that. And I don't compete with my agents. So it's possible that well, there's 47. I guess I do compete with them. But I think some of these are just. For example, I just took over a transaction from one of our agents that was not able to continue to work it. And so I ended up closing the deal. We give him a referral fee, that kind of thing. But here we see I've got one that's pending. It's a rental. We do a lot of rentals. And here's just a list of a lot of the rentals. 127 Mango Drive. I'm still representing that one. You see the prices have gone up over the years. Via Sonoma is another one that I represent very frequently. Burnwood Play. Oh, did I sell that one? I think I sold that one already. Voyager. So this just gives you an idea of the ones that did have my name on them at some point. But that's what, and the whole reason, the whole point behind me showing you that is that you actually have the ability to look up your other agent's production to see if they're a seasoned agent, if they do a lot of transactions, whatever, that kind of thing. Okay. All right, so that's available for you. That's my quick search. And again, that's going to be where I know what it is that I'm something short, something fast, and not necessarily a hot sheet. But let's take a look at my search button up here. And I should probably ask, okay, no questions yet. So if you have any questions, please remember, type them into the search, the Q&A field at the bottom. Hey, Brandon. Deirdre, welcome back. Ed, good to see you again. Hypothetically see you. I can't actually see you. And I think I just friended you on Facebook. I think. Okay, anyway, so let's take a look at my search. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click on the search button. And I've got several different varieties of searching. And I'm going to show you that the ones on the left-hand side are the ones I'm more likely to use. Thank you, Deirdre. More likely to use. But we're also going to talk about some of these over here. So first of all, my search for my residential property, and normally that's what I show you how to do. Let's take a look at it really quick. Then I'm going to show you how I look for more than one property type. And the reason being that I might be looking for a property that, sometimes, agents input listings and sometimes they don't necessarily put them in the right property type. So I might be looking for a property for a client's looking for a residential income property. And so that type of property may show up in this type of field. Okay, so let's look at detached. I'm going to hit a D in here, and I might. I'm going to be looking in San Diego County, so I can always start typing it. It's going to pop up the drop down for me over here on the right hand side. If it's got a little hourglass in there or a magnifying glass, it tells me I can click on that button and I can actually pull up the property types right here. And so I can also, right now I'm searching for detached, but I can also click here where it says equals, and I can say, no, it doesn't equal. And so now it's going to be detached units. Notice that there are 1,995 listings currently in the MLS. I'm looking up here on the search bar, and that's going to have, because right now by default is to search for active and back on market. But what happened? We just added a new field, didn't we? And what was that new field? Coming soon. So let's see if that changes what I'm doing. My 1995 just went to 2059. So you might want to update your default search, folks. And so my default search doesn't include coming soons. And remember, coming soon is that new field that we created back in May that says that, we can share those things with each other on the MLS, but the minute we start marketing them up on the internet, then we've got to put them in as active listings. And so in here, if you have a coming soon listing, it won't be available to the public on the internet. So they won't be able to see it at Pillow and Gulia and all those other, The Price is Right, whatever else you got going on up there. So that coming soon is reserved for those listings that are available only internally. There's no marketing going on. The minute you start marketing it, you're gonna have to put it in as an active listing. And even if you don't, within 21 days, we're going to make it active for you. So it'll become active by default within 21 days. Okay, everybody good with that? So I'm glad I added that because I just added 50 properties, didn't I? 55, 59, no, actually 64 properties just by doing that. Okay, you'll notice I didn't even have to click on count. It's going to update the count for me automatically. So let's take a look. So now I'm looking at detached. I want to take a look at equal to detached and see if that changes my number. Now I've got 2,479. Let's go ahead in here and I'm going to look at my zip code in my area. So let's put in 92014. You all know I live there, and now I have 54 properties in that zip code that are detached, that are San Diego County, of course, that have that zip code and that are active or coming on the market. Okay, actually a fairly hot market right now. In fact, if you saw our fast stats, you'll know that the $1.2 million to $2 million market is one of the hottest markets that we have right now. Good luck in Del Mar. That's probably going to be a nice automobile, but you know, our houses can get pretty expensive over there. So in my criteria summary over here on the right hand side, I see the things that I've been doing. So I've been adding criteria as I go, and as I do that, they show up in here. But let's say I want to get rid of Del Mar, I can go ahead and I can click the X and remove it, or I can click on the edit and maybe add to it. So maybe now I add to that, I add my 92130, which is Carmel Valley. We used to refer to that as Del Mar East or East Del Mar. We called it North City West. It had a bunch of different names associated with it. What does the equal button do? Equal button, where are you looking? Deirdre, help me out. Where are you looking? Equal button. Oh, equals. Okay, so equal, yeah, you do. Okay, equals it says either it equals detached or I don't want it to equal detached. So doesn't equal detached. So that means attached units, there are 62 properties that meet these criteria that are attached, okay? So it says everything other than detached. And sometimes that can be helpful because if you were to just click in, let's say, let's get rid of this and let's just put in attached. That's a great question, Deirdre. Notice I had other options available to me. If I only say attached, I get 154. But if I said not equal to detached, then I only got 62. So again, that's going to change. Good. That's a great question. You always ask good questions. So that changed my criteria. Now I've got 154 properties that are in Del Mar and Carmel Valley that are all other attached. But I might want to also add to that. I'll take a look at my my fields. I might want to say, okay, I want to know, now I know there's no mobile homes or manufactured homes. How about a townhome or a twin home? Okay, maybe I click on that. My 154 drops down because I said I don't want it to be attached or a townhome or a twin home, right? See that? So let's change this back to that it equals, and now I've got 62 of them again. Okay, so, you know, like I've said to you all before, listen, don't be afraid of this program. Go in there and play with it. You can't break anything. And if you get in trouble, you know, hey, I'm the rules chair. If you get in trouble, let me know. I'll help you out, okay? But I can tell you that our MLS's philosophy is not that we're here to punish people or fine them or do things like that, you know, unless they're kind of egregious about it. I was just doing a talk for the Del Mar pitch session earlier today, and there was an admonition that came out today for all the brokers. Linda, I'm hoping you got that, that discussed what was going on with the governor's update on July the 14th, what the DRE is doing about it. And there was an interesting comment about if you do something wrong, DRE has taken the position, since they just lost 15 people to go work on the COVID issue, went out of their office to go do that. And their thing is that we're not here to punish people, but if it looks like an egregious offense, so like, for example, you're holding an open house right now, if you're going to hold an open house, you have to provide masks. It can't be open to the public. It has to be by appointment only, one person in at a time. You're supposed to scrub the property down, in between showings, things like that. So obviously you got to leave enough time to do that. Is that 15 minutes? Is it half an hour? I don't know. But there's certain things that you've got to do. And so the DRE's position has been, hey, if you do something wrong, now you got NAR code of ethics issues, right? It's wrong, then NAR is going to be on you. And if you do it repeatedly, then DRE says we're probably going to come after you as well. But it's one of those things when they send you a warning, and they send you a little letter, they send you a note, they send you a little warning, and you need to follow it. You don't, you definitely don't want to ignore them. In my conversation with the deputy commissioner, she said 80% of the contacts that we make with people, real estate agents, 80% of the people don't return our call. That's one of the worst things you need to call them. I know it's scary, but you need to call them. You need to talk to them. They're people. They're just trying to get clarification on what's going on. Okay. And certainly if the DRE contacts you, you make sure that you contact your broker and let them know that that's going on. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead a little bit further down here. And let's say I want my price range to be $1 million. What does that do with my number? When I pop out of here, it says that there are 16. So in other words, what I did is I tabbed out. I didn't have to put a high number, but once I tabbed out, it says I don't want to look at anything that's less than $1 million. So it says, wow, there are 16. The minute I tabbed out, it says there are 16 properties. Well, what happens if I change that? I only want to look from $1 million to $1,111,000, and I tab out of that, and now it says there are only 7 properties that fall within that $111,000 price range. And I just think that's pretty interesting. So I just clicked on search up here, and we're waiting for the window to pop up that will show us what that search ultimately is going to look like. I just don't know why time, as you get older, time flies faster and faster. Okay, so let's take a look. Here are all the properties that are priced, again, in the price range that we were looking. Let me see if I can scroll over a little bit. How come I can't see it? I'm missing something. Where's my price range? Oh dear. Okay, well, anyway, I'll have to find it. But for right now, this says that something's not right down here. Boy, oh boy, look, there we go. Now we got it. So here's my price range. So these are all the properties that fall between that $1 million and $1,111,000. And here they all are. So that was specifically what I was looking for. And so I've got a pretty decent sized list. I've got 7 of them. See up here where it says 7. High number of days on the market, 46. Low, 2. And then the median, of course, is about 25. So that's good information to have. So let's go ahead, and obviously I can click on these numbers if I want to look at 2 of them. I can click on these 2, for example, and then I can go up here to reports and say I want the all fields detail view, and then it will give me the details of those properties. Okay, so whichever ones I clicked on, it should pull those up. All right, twin home on Da Vinci. And so notice the checkbox right here. And then when I scroll back one, why have I got such a slow internet connection? That is really bizarre. Okay, that's what happens. You're running a gig of internet and it's still slow. So this is going to be one that is not checked. So I'll scroll back one more to get the other one that I checked. And we'll see that property is going to be on America Way, 1031 America Way. I used to own one on America Way, 811 America Way. I owned that for quite a few years, and I think I sold that one for about $650. So that was 20 years ago. They haven't gone up that much since then. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so let's go back in. So now here I am. I wanted to show you from here what else I can do. So like right now, I've got my all fields detail view, but if I want to take a look at a map search, I can click on map. So in other words, I might want to change my criteria. In this case, this is going to show me where these two properties fall on the map. And then in a second, I'm going to show you how I get back over to my criteria. Check while it's doing that. Any questions so far? Now, whoops, I'm supposed to be on it on this computer. Here, join, open. Okay, good. It's right about this time that Linda comes in and starts yelling at me because I'm using the wrong microphone. Okay, all right. So notice that this shows me where those properties are physically located. Here is the one for $1,000,001 up in Spindrift on America Way, and then it also tells me that I've got two others over in these two areas. Remember, I'm looking at Del Mar and Carmel Valley. If I switch back over to here to criteria, then you can see that I can change my numbers. Change any of this. Now, it could very well be that I want to change, and this is a little heads up, that maybe I want Del Mar and Carmel Valley, but I only want, I don't want old Del Mar, I want the other Del Mar. So in that case, I'm going to pull up a map search, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So in scrolling in, remember, and this is where it always helps. It always helps to know what your area looks like. This is why I believe that no one can ever replace you. Okay, so when I look in Del Mar, this area here is old Del Mar, but Crest Canyon is the dividing point. All of these homes are in Del Mar zip code, but City of San Diego services. So I might want to go ahead and draw a map to see, which properties fall within that boundary. Obviously, there aren't a whole bunch. That X, by the way, the search button will always pop up with your office address unless you change that at some point, okay? So going back to my criteria, what else I wanted to show you a couple. So I showed you what it looks like when we click on the magnifying glass. It allows me to change some of the fields. It actually gives me the fields to change versus when I click on this drop down, I'm going to be able to switch the equals to doesn't equal to. Listing date, I'd be careful about that. Sometimes properties are listed in the previous year. So for example, if I put in the calendar here that I'm looking for properties that have only been listed since the beginning of the year, then I would go back to here, I would go back to January to do that. And I would click on January the 1st. And now I changed my number to 7. Now it could very well be it's not going to pick up properties that were listed before that. And so that's why I would caution you about doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and then here, Deirdre. So instead of doing that date, I'm going to say I want to look at all properties that have been listed in the last 6 months. And now I'm going to get possibly get a different number. You all see how that worked? I clicked on that button. I really like that, the ability to do that. Okay. And I think it's still looking because I have 7 in there. Yeah, look at my price range. So I have to remember that if I want to change those numbers, then that's going to impact what my search comes out to. Okay. All right. I want to get into the residential income so I can show you how to search for that. People ask me all the time, they say, what about ADUs? What about properties that have more than one unit with them? And that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for, even though there is a search field for ADUs in your MLS. So let me finish this page for you really quick. Street direction, street name. I'm finding, I'm going to tell you that in searching the multiple listing service, less is better. So, if I wanted to look up America Way, for example, I would only put in America, okay? I probably wouldn't put in Way, and look at that, there is one, and I think we already know which one that one's going to be. That one's going to be the one on America Way, okay? And so it popped that one up right away for us, and then it went away. And that's what it does. That's what happens when you got a really fast internet connection. You have to get a hold of Verizon and tell them they made a mistake. Okay, 1031, there it is. Let me go back to my criteria really quick. I'm going to, I could say doesn't contain, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just delete that field because that's going to be a better way for me to do it. Map coordinates, here's the problem. When you input the listing, if you don't put the map coordinates in, but now you're going to search by map coordinate, then you know what, if the agent didn't put it in there, you're not going to find it. So you know, in another class I taught you, in last week's class I taught you listing input management, and I taught you how to use tax autofill. And when I use tax autofill, it will bring in the map coordinates for me by default, but a lot of times agents are doing this manually, so they don't know how to use the tax autofill. So I just don't want to take the chance. Same rule applies to neighborhood, to community. So here under community, the agent's going to have had to pick something. So for example, in here, we're going to look, there's no Del Mar on that page. I'm going to go to the next page. There's Del Mar. I can click on that. Now I can click on save. And it's going to show me I have two properties that are in Del Mar. Remember, my original search was Del Mar and for Carmel Valley. So I'm going to get rid of that. I still have two. Okay, but again, that it's easier for me to be able to do that. Easier for me to be able to do that with that little search thing. But if it doesn't have the search thing, what do? I mean, if I go up here and I type in neighborhood, and let's say I type in neighborhood means Del Mar, you know, let's see, I'll tab out of that. What happens? Well, I happen to end up with two again. I didn't use a very good example, but it has to be exactly the way that the agent would have inputted into the multiple listing service. And neighborhood can be misspelled. That's why I say the community one is pretty good because I got that magnifying glass. But if I'm up in a neighborhood or map coordinates, it's however the input is done, and it may not be right. So for example, they might have put in, let's go back to Del Mar and let's just type in Del Mar with no spaces and see how many results I get. I get 0. You see what I'm saying? So I'm leery about typing in fields with question marks next to them, but I will use the drop down that's provided for me that next to where it has the magnifying glass. That's probably the best way to explain that. Listing type, you're probably not going to search by listing type. A lot of people don't even know the differences between the listing types, but you know, you could have, and here's why that's a problem. Let's pull this up for a second. I'm going to pull up that magnifying glass, and here's the problem that we face. When we look at the input, this is the listing input, same thing, same criteria you get when you're inputting the listing originally. A lot of agents will check the box that says exclusive agency. Okay, rather than checking the box that says exclusive right. Most of the listings, the standard form that pops up in zip forms is going to be my exclusive authorization and right to sell. So if I don't know the difference between the two of these, then, and I click on the first one, then I'm probably going to get a bad result. Here's why. My exclusive authorization and right to sell, which is the most common type of listing, says that under all circumstances, the broker represents the seller and the broker is going to receive a commission for doing that. Exclusive agency says the same thing, except it says that the seller may sell the property themselves and not use their agent nor use their nor pay them a commission. So for when an agent erroneously checks this box, then it's notifying everybody out there that that the seller has the ability to sell the property independent of their broker, independent of their agent, and therefore doesn't owe any obligations to pay. So that's why those are important to know the difference between them. That's why I don't put them into the search field, because what would happen is I might miss my probate. I might miss my exclusive right with exception. Exclusive right with exception says that the agent has an exclusive authorization right to sell, except for these people, like the owner's brother's going to buy it, or there's a list that was provided from a previous listing agent that the list to protect them in the event that their buyer were to purchase the property during the safety period, the protection clause period. Okay, and that's on the state exam, by the way. So there's There's Linda. Okay, all right. So lot size, that's another one. Boy, I don't know where they got their information, but I just can't count on it being that I'm going to code it the same way. But what about levels of property? I might look at that. I might say, you know, I want a single story. Okay, a lot of us know single story. That's pretty good deal. I can click on single story. I can click on save, and it says only one of those two properties is a single story. I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be the one on America Way because that one's got 3 stories to it. We saw it there momentarily flashing on the screen, but it should go away. Yeah, that property had 3 stories on it. Now, 295 Seaforest Court is a single story unit, but yes, there are stairs required to get to the unit, okay? So let's go back over to my criteria. If your client's criteria is that they don't want to have any stairs, and 295 has stairs, I'm pretty sure I sold that one too at one point. Then, you know, I'm getting the wrong information. And that's why I like to do a full search and look for, you know, stairs. Are there more than 3 stairs that are going to be required to get into the unit? Okay. All right. Real estate included. Oh, I don't know what could be in there. Is there any, you know, is it the land included as well, or is it on leased land? Right. Things like that. Probably wouldn't check by schools because, again, that's going to be a manual entry thing. Laura, hi. Question. Laura, type it into the question mark, okay? Let me know if you got a question. Go ahead and type that in there, all right? And hey, Art. Okay, so we looked at MLS listings, coming soons. Laura, you raised your hand again. Go ahead and type in a question. If you have a question, it's in Q&A, okay? Type it in Q&A. All right, okay. That being said, parking garage spaces, very common, but there's some confusion with some agents between, notice how we're spelling parking now, that there's some confusion as to whether or not a parking garage space also it would refer to a parking garage that was covered versus its actual own private garage. And so we want to make sure that we are, I probably wouldn't put that in there. Okay, we can put in clauses that are contained in the remarks section. So use a star for wildcard searching. So I might type in a star, that's going to be shift 8, and then I might type in fixer. Okay, and so now what happens when I do that, I'm going to get rid of my other criteria here because that's going to skew my data just a little bit. And again, what this is counting on is an agent that is putting into the remarks section that the property is a fixer property. So there are 3. And so when I click on 3, then it'll give me that list of what those 3 properties are. So on these 3 properties, one's in Oceanside, and we have San Diego. So those 3 properties have the terms fixer in the remarks section. So if we learn nothing else, we want to learn to be judicious about what we put into the remarks section. We got to spell it the same way they spell it. You know, they might put in star remodel, which could mean a million different things, right? So when I click on that, I get 247 properties that have the word remodel in the remarks section. In the alternative confidential remarks, I think that's going to be even more problematic for us because, you know, you might want to type in, like, for example, let's do shift 8 dog. Okay, and then I'm going to take out of that. So there are 20 properties in the MLS that have dog in the confidential remarks section. Do we think that's good news for us? We're going to be showing a property, and now we've got that word dog. So let's actually let's take a look at one of those and see what that translates to. Because I do talk to a lot of agents who say, "Oh, I see a lockbox on the property. I just go ahead and open the door," and it's like, I don't know. What if it has an alarm on it? You know, were you violating the COVID regulations, things like that? Here's one on Orinda. And I'm not looking for violations here, by the way, but Tom Wilson has this listing. So I go down to my confidential remarks and I'm looking in here, friendly dog, smiley in home. You see what I'm saying? It made it easier for me to find that word dog by that. But I might look at another property. We're not going to spend the whole day trying to find that, but we might look at another property, and if like it's one of our listings, if it has a dog, we're going to put in dog will bite, okay? Because the dog is an animal and we don't have any control over it. And as much as it's the sweetest dog in the world for you, then I get the little 3-year-old that starts pulling on its ears, and then the dog bites the 3-year-old, and then you know what, we're going to have a problem, okay? So I do put dog in my confidential remarks, and I do put in dog will bite because I think all dogs will bite. All right, if provoked, okay? And as Linda knows, my last dog was a narcotics raid dog, and that dog would definitely bite. So I would put that warning in the confidential remarks. So you might have a client that says, hey, we're allergic to cats, for example. You might put in the star and then cats. Okay, so that's good. I never know when I'm doing these classes, which direction we're going to go on things. How do you search for duplex, triplex? Laura, thank you for asking the question. I'm going to get right to it, okay, because I want to show you how to do this. Okay, so homeowners, fees and assessments, you'll have a client that says, I don't want any Mello-Roos, so you type in a 0, or I'm sorry, I'm going to type in a maximum of 0. And how many properties am I going to get? So now remember, we got rid of the search criteria of Del Mar. We said pretty much all properties. So so I want all properties that don't have Mello-Roos, and that's going to be only 1,419. Remember, most in San Diego County, most properties built after October of 1988 are probably going to have Mello-Roos on them. So just be aware of that. But it looks like I got 1,419 that supposedly don't have any Mello-Roos. And again, I would caution you to be very careful about that. I've taken listings on properties where the seller was pretty well convinced that he didn't have Mello-Roos. But in fact, he did, of course, because the property built in 1992, long after Mello-Roos started in Carmel Valley. He was in Carmel Village, and he definitely had Mello-Roos, and he was surprised to see it when we pulled up his tax statement. And he goes, wow, I didn't know what that was. Well, it's like this biggest part of your tax almost. And so, but that may be a search criteria for your clients, so they may be looking for that. And then I want to get to, I'm trying to pace myself, okay, Laura, so give me just a second here. Any other questions about any of this? Monthly total fees. You may also have someone who says, I don't want any HOA. And so notice my number now is 1595. I'm going to click, wow, 55 properties in the multiple listing service that are active, that are either all other attached or townhome or twin home, have no HOA fees, supposedly. Okay, let's get rid of all this, and let's just call this detached now. I'm going to click on the D, and there pops up my button. And then again, these are active, back on the market, coming soon. I'm going to get rid of, excuse me, these two criteria. I got 1,411 of them, but my client says I don't want any HOA dues. I want it to be 0. And so now I've got 1,441 properties in all of San Diego County. It's going to be too many to pull up. That's, I mean, how many of these are going to be in, oh, here's a good one for you. Let's look in Carmel Valley really quick. I'm going to show you that what I'm talking about. Most of Carmel Valley was built using Mello-Roos, but I've got 9 properties that are going to pop up and are going to be no HOA. So these are going to be some of the older homes that were built, like Altamar and a few others, and some of the little duplex units, that Baywind, Almond Way. And these were all properties, here's Del Mar Trails, that were built prior to there being a homeowner association. So they didn't have one. So there isn't any dues to pay when you don't have one. Is everybody good with all that? Any other questions about that? But remember, again, I can always add search criteria to it. So I go up here to customize, and I might want to add a field. Okay, does everybody see how I did that? Let me back up. I want to show you again because it's pretty important. All right, so I want to add a field. What would be a good field? Somebody give me an idea here. I might want, so here are the fields that are currently in there. I'd be careful about removing them, but let me, boom. Let me add, let's add selling agent. So selling office, okay. I can add selling office, and now that's going to show up here, and I'm going to say apply. And so now my search is going to, when I scroll down, whoops, I had to do this thing first. All right, hang on. When I scroll down, it will have added the field for the selling office. He says with confidence, where is it? There it is right there. So now I've added that field to my search. And now I'm remembering that I added listing visibility type to my search in my last lesson that I did. So maybe I put in, let's say Burke is the selling office. Let's pick on me, Burke Real Estate Consultants. Number 4,900. Oh, look at that. We haven't sold any homes. Now, if any of you believe that that's accurate, let's try it again. Burke, because there's a couple of different Burke Real Estate Consultants. We incorporated, oh, look at that. Doesn't even show it. I'll be darned. Okay, they made a liar out of me. Darn it all. Anyway, I don't know why it doesn't show anything. We are not a member of that other MLS, so anyway, that's how I would find out. And again, if I want to get rid of that field, I pull up fields again. I go down to the bottom and I click on selling office, and I now do remove. Okay, and that's how I'm going to get rid of listing visibility type as well, because it's really not going to serve much for us. Space rent, if anything, I don't know why I have that in there, but I've added a lot of these things in doing my trainings, of which, so apply and save. So we're going to get rid of those things and let the program refresh. And now I want to answer Laura's question. Oh, save the search. Yeah, I'm not saving the search. I could save it to a client, right? Okay, so let's take a look at Laura's question. And by the way, so you see how this is all still in here. Okay, I can open all, close all. I can save my search. I might decide, wow, I really like that search. I actually have already saved it, because when I clicked on save, that's what it did it. Okay, but if I come back in here and I don't even remember that I saved it, I could always click on the last search. Here it is, and it would load that search for me. Okay, and what happens if I want to do my map? We've already, I think we've already hit on this. So my map search, I can do that. But as I promised you in the beginning, I want to take a look at, so there's all my properties in Carmel Valley that meet my price range. All right, I wanted to show you how to search for multiple property types at the same time. So Laura, your question might have been investment property. You might be thinking 2 to 4 units, but in fact, I might want to also look for an investment property that is residential. So if that's the case, so I'm going to go down here to multi-class. I'm going to click on multi-class. Notice how my residential is still there. It's going to be there until I close it. Okay. If I click on it, watch, I'll get an X. See, I got an X. I can click on the X. That'll make it go away. But I want to keep that one open to see what my differences are. So now I'm looking at my multi-class, which means I'm looking at residential properties, and I'm also looking at 2 to 4s. 2 to 4 by definition is going to be a residential income property. So when I take that listing, I'm using the residential income listing agreement, the commercial listing agreement, or I might be, and then when I write my offer, I'll be using the RIPA, which is the residential income purchase agreement, because there are going to be some questions in each of those forms that aren't addressed by a standard listing on a standard, home. They're going to talk about rents. They're going to talk about deposits. They're going to talk about things like that. So know what type of property you're looking at. You could be looking at a residential property that is just a residential home, one home, not a duplex, not a triplex, not a fourplex, that may have that income producing quality, in which case you might want to think about using that RIPA form. Okay, and I know that's probably the first time I've sprung that on you, but that's the reason why we use that form. Okay, all right, so now I'm looking in my multi-class, same kind of things, right? Criteria, map search, run search, all those things are all in there. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here. I've got different things I can do. So what kind of class am I looking for? So here I want my residential, my REs and my RIs, right? My residential property and my units. Now, I'm not going to probably search for land, because land tends not to produce income, but I could click on that. But I think you can make yourself half crazy doing this, right? What about commercial residential income? I might look for that. Let's click on save. Notice I've got 4,677 properties. County again is San Diego. Notice that it's my active, my back on the market. Let's scroll down. Your client, is well heeled. They want to go to 3 million. So I've got 3 and 3 zeros. Obviously, my other 3 zeros are already in place. So I've got, so from 0 to 3 million, I've got 4,200. What happens if they say I want to stay between 2,500 million, 2.5 million and 3 million. Now I've got 173 properties. Okay. So, those are things that are going to be interesting for me when I'm doing my search. I'm going to have different criteria and I got to think outside of the envelope on that. Okay. Off market data, obviously I don't care about. Listing data, I don't care about. But let me, that's going to be most of my criteria in here. But what happens if I want to take a look on a map and I want to narrow it down to certain geographic areas? So this is going to give me the big picture map, which is going to include way up north. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drill into this. So I'm going to hit my plus sign because, it turns out I only want to look at properties that are in the Del Mar area. That just happens to be how we're looking for things. So here's my first one that shows up. I can, there you go. You can add a list, add properties to a watch list so you can see the changes, that kind of thing. I think that's a pretty neat little feature. Let's see. So I got my watch my property, but I've got, so here's my information on this property. It's a pretty good size property. But again, this is going to be my residential search. This is just my normal residential search, right? So remember what we were talking about a minute ago is I'm looking for income producing property. So I can't get rid of this. I need to keep that one in mind. But at the same time, what happens if I'm only looking for my only looking for residential income? So let's pull up my criteria again. Now I'm going to get rid of my, let's get rid of my residential because I probably did a separate search for that. And now I've got only 19 properties. Okay, starting to look a little bit more interesting. But this is how I'm going to do my residential income. Now remember, any property can be a residential income property, but if I'm looking specifically, my client wants units or they want commercial property, then I'm going to need to change my criteria. Okay. All right. So like here's units, 91 to 99 Broadway. This is going to be, and here's, what is that? Off near Poway, Escondido area. This is going to be residential income. So again, I'm looking at residential income property, which usually is units versus just my standalone detached property. Does that make sense? Okay. So remember again, I'm in the multi-field right now. So I may be looking for my residential for sure, but look how many I'm going to have here. It's going to be 154. But I want to limit that. I want to put my RI property. So now I got my 2 to 4 units, and I'm going to knock that number down a little bit. Okay. Laura, does that answer your question? 161, how to search for duplex, triplex. So if I want to do that, then I'm just going to get rid of my residential. Okay. So now again, I'm searching all of San Diego what is RT? So let's pull that up. Good question. See right here, this magnifying glass. Here's my RT residential rental. So a rental property. Okay. So now remember, this is the listing input fields. So as the agents input the listing, they're going to use these fields, right? But if I'm looking for a rental property, then I'm not looking for a property that is for sale. I'm looking for a property that is for rent, right? Okay. All right. If I was looking for a property to use as a rental, then I would look for units. Let's take a look. I got 8. Okay. So I got 8 properties. And let's take a look and see what my criteria pops up with. Okay. So you can see here that, look at the prices. None of these properties are for rent. Okay. And they're all RI properties. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at that. There's RT. See why the agent put that in there. It's RT, residential rental. I think that's misclassified. Definitely misclassified. They input the wrong listing property type. I'm not going to turn them in, but Somebody should probably, anyway, they just put in the wrong listing type. Okay, all right. So again, back to my criteria, I'm going to get rid of my residential rental because my residential rental properties are, let's take a look at that. So since we're doing a search, I'm going to get rid of my multi-class. I'm going to get rid of my residential. Let's go in here. Let's do a search. Let's look at residential rentals. So in my entire MLS, San Diego, active on the market, 1,265 rental properties. So properties that are for rent. Now, again, here's my listing visibility type, MLS coming soon. So it's got both of those associated with it. What type of rental? I'm going to click on that. Do I want a residential rental or do I want a vacation or seasonal rental? My residential rental, let's take a look. I went from 1,200 to 915. Let's take a look at styles. I want detached. I hit save, and now I'm down, got 283. Let's pull up Del Mar, because that's going to, it's interesting how Del Mar works because there's more seasonal rentals there than there are in most other places. So now I got 25 properties that are essentially for rent. You know, I'm finding that most real estate agents don't like to do rentals. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. You need to reconsider that. There's a lot of money in doing rental properties. I just rented one, and my commission's going to be, what did we do? We did 6% of 2,400 a month times 12 months. Think about that. That's a pretty good number. So remember, our job is to help the homeless. And so if somebody's looking for property, you might want to think about helping them on that rental, and you know, probably get that buyer representation agreement with them on that, so that you can make sure that they're not wandering around. There's a property that I sold these people. That's interesting that it is active right now. Let's see who's, see if my former business partner has that listing, probably. Yep, my former business partner has that listing. Of course, she was better at staying in touch with the client than I was. Obviously not a whole lot of stuff filled in there. That was a neat little, that was the old garage, but they had added on to it. Oh my God, look at that. Original price was $6,000. They lowered it to $4,500, 300 days on the market. Holy mackerel. Anyway, so that was a neat little home. I sold them the home. That's anyway, bottom line is that's how I look up my rentals. So again, 25 of them just in the Del Mar area. Some other criteria that we do when we're searching for rentals is we want to look for whether they're furnished or not. So for example, furnished equals no is going to knock your results down to 11. So that tells me that 14 of those properties are furnished, which, so let's take a look. Let's do, it does not equal furnished. And now I've got 14 properties that are furnished. And then that means normally that means it's going to be a short-term rental. Okay, so, or an expensive rental. So for example, $6,000, some people might be thinking that that's for the entire year. But in fact, when I click on the link, I'm probably going to find that that is by the month or by this racing. Available September 4th for 1 year. So it's $6,000 per month, and 200 feet from the sand, et cetera, et cetera. And Janice has that listing. So other questions, because I need to start getting towards wrapping this up. Deirdre, which form did you say you have rental clients sign? Oh, thank you, Deidre. I'm sorry, Deidre, not Deirdre. Deidre. So I have them sign the buyer representation agreement. We'll be doing that class again tomorrow afternoon. We'll be wrapping it up at 1 o'clock. But we always have the tenant sign a buyer representation agreement. It says that they agree to pay us for finding them a rental. They agree to work with us, much like we would do on a buyer looking for a home for sale, because we don't want to waste our time showing property to people that are also running around looking for property on their own as well. So we get a contract with them, and that contract says that, you know what, you agree to work with me, I'll agree to work with you, and I agree to spend my time trying to help you find things. You know, at the same time, can't just dump them. You gotta help them, but you know, you determine how long you want that agreement to be for. Maybe it's for 30 days, maybe it's for a week, whatever. But our experience is that a lot of times the rental client feels like they're in a desperate situation. And so I had to find a home for my family, that kind of thing. And when in fact, it means I'm still looking for property after they've signed a lease. Those are things that make me nervous. I want to make sure that everybody understands how we're doing business together. So that's all. So to answer your question, yes, that's what we do. We do buyer representation agreements. I don't know. I've been doing this 41 years. I've never had anybody refuse me. Maybe I'm very convincing, but I don't know. Okay, any other questions? I want to make sure you're all good. I got some people signing off already. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. There's my email address. If you are not getting I'm not going to put you on the list unless you ask me to. But we have an email list that goes out every week that has actually the links on the classes I'm teaching at SDAR. You just click on the link, takes you straight to the class. Then you don't have to worry about trying to find it. Oh, hi, Tommy. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, I want to make sure you're all doing okay. All right. What's the class tomorrow about offers? Oh, thank you, Laura. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we have a special surprise. We're going to be doing how to write counter offers, multiple counter offers, and backup offers. And it's going to definitely be an interactive class. And I'm going to give you examples of my counter offer forms. And now I'm remembering somebody sent me an email and I've lost it, asking me, or they called me on the phone, that's always dangerous, about a counter offer. And so if that was anybody here today, please send that to me again. I'd be happy to answer it. Or I'm going to have a class tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and I'll answer it tomorrow morning, how to fill these things out. Where can I sign up for that class? Send me an email, okay? Kevin, it's right on your screen, kevin@burkerealestateconsultants.com, and I will send you the newsletter, and then you can go ahead and just click on the link tomorrow. So tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, how to write counter offers. Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, how to get them to sign the buyer representation agreement. I think we're going to be wrapping that one up because we're about done with the quarter. But definitely the counteroffer class is always a lot of fun. The biggest problem I have is I'm only allowed an hour to talk to you about it, but we definitely have a great time. So I look forward to seeing all of you. And then, of course, on Thursday, what are we doing? I'm going to teach you RPR in the morning at 9 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm yours. Okay. I devote my days to you. I want to make sure that you're good. And I want to help you in any way that I can. Okay. So, that being said, Deidre, good job. Thank you. Thank you. That is so kind of you. I got it. That's just wonderful. You're getting me looking. I'm getting all flushed. So thank you so much, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. You have a wonderful day. And please let me know if there's ever anything I can do to help you. Take care for now.